So metabolic health basically refers to how well everything is functioning within your body, especially how well it uses, regulates and produces energy within the systems. Metabolic health will help us determine how healthy you are, essentially, how resilient your metabolism is to stress, illness and aging. The core components of your metabolic health are your blood sugar, your insulin resistance, your use and maintenance within the system of fats, so that would be your triglycerides and your cholesterol, essentially. Your balance, your ratio between your HDL and your LDL, your good cholesterol and bad cholesterol we've all heard of, but it's the ratio between those two that make the difference. Blood pressure, so whether your blood pressure is within a healthy range, certainly, like the perfect blood pressure really is about 120/80, give or take. But you certainly don't want your systolic, the top number, to be climbing much above 140, and really you want that bottom number, the diastolic, below about 90. So once you start creeping up out of that range consistently, you're increasing your risk of cardiovascular problems and stroke. So blood pressure is very important to your overall metabolic health, because it's a marker of how well your body is maintaining and all these systems are working together. Body composition, most importantly, sort of hip to waist ratio. If you're that classic apple shape, if you're overweight, it's going to put strain on your metabolism. It's going to lead you into problems with your insulin resistance, with inflammation, with stress and all those sort of things as well as pushing that blood pressure up. So being overweight is a massive risk factor. So yeah, that's a big marker of your metabolic health. And your inflammation and hormonal balance, so stress hormones like cortisol. So this, if you've got low chronic stress, that can cause inflammation around your body, and this kind of chronic inflammation causing pain in your joints, and that's a big marker of metabolic health. And combine that with, like I say, the stress hormones as well, your cortisol and things like that. How good a handle do you have on your autonomic nervous system? How readily are you able to flick between parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system? So by looking at your insulin resistance, your fasting insulin, by looking at your cholesterol, your triglycerides, by looking at your waist circumference, by measuring your blood pressure, we can get a good idea of where you are metabolically, how metabolically healthy you are. So no surprise, if you are metabolically healthy, you're going to have a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. You're going to have a lower risk of stroke and heart disease, heart attack. You're going to have better energy levels, better cognitive function. You'll feel sharper. Your immune system will be in a better condition, meaning you're better able to fight off any viruses or pathogens that find their way into your system. And you're going to age better. You'll age like a fine wine as opposed to vinegar. So that means that you're going to have better longevity. You're not just going to live longer, but you're going to be healthier for longer. So your metabolic health is so important for your whole health, but certainly for your cardiac health. Conversely, poor metabolic health, not surprisingly, is linked to increased cardiac problems, increased stroke, increased neurodegenerative conditions, Alzheimer's, things like that. Certain cancers, obviously, if you're not metabolically sound, you're creating the conditions in your body whereby cancers can flourish and grow. You can also get fatty liver syndrome, fatty liver disease. And all of this is basically called metabolic syndrome. If you're really metabolically unhealthy, you can end up with metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome is defined by a cluster of several of these factors. So say high blood sugar, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, big circumference around the waist, so being fat or being obese, having high cholesterol if your cholesterol is out of whack, if that cholesterol ratio is out of whack between the good and the bad cholesterol, and if you're under chronic psychological stress as well. All of these can cause a perfect storm in your body, this perfect metabolic storm, promote a lot of health challenges, certainly for your heart, but for a whole host of other things as well. The fact is that metabolic health is so intrinsically related to lifestyle. We can improve our metabolic health without the intervention of medicine. We can do it completely by lifestyle if you're committed enough. The best ways you can do this is to take regular physical activity. So you don't want to be sedentary. You want to be walking at the very least, and you want to be moving as much as you can, taking the stairs rather than escalators and lifts and things like that. Just use your body as it was intended to be used. It was intended to move. Whatever state you're in, whatever stage you're at of metabolic disharmony, movement can help you bring it back into harmony. Take up something like yoga, tai chi, qigong, all gentle ways, or they don't have to be gentle, but they can start off gentle, and you can ramp them up from there. A whole food diet, minimally processed foods, that's so important for your metabolic health. Effective stress management, so important, and maintaining your muscle mass is also very important, as well as adequate sleep. So you can see all of those factors are within your grasp. They're lifestyle factors that can be used to improve your metabolic health, which is going to decrease your need for pharmaceutical or medical intervention. I'm not saying don't take medications if you require them for your blood pressure, if you require them for your cholesterol, if you require medication, follow your doctor's advice and take them. But know that by improving your metabolic health, by improving your lifestyle, you will be able to reduce your reliance on those medications and medical intervention over time. So the things that directly harm metabolic health are excess alcohol use, chronic inactivity, highly processed foods, high sugar diets, poor sleep and chronic stress. So obviously the reverse of what's good for you, basically. So metabolic health essentially is about the flexibility of your body's ability to be resilient, to be able to deal with whatever comes its way. Unfortunately, these things are completely within your sphere of influence. By making some tweaks to your lifestyle, to one or more factors, you can really bring your metabolic health under your own control. Some improvements to your diet, cutting out those processed foods, moving more, stress management. You see in all my videos to do with health, stress comes up. It's so detrimental. It causes all this inflammation. It keeps you in that sympathetic nervous state. It affects your heart rate variability. Being chronically stressed is so bad for your health. So the ways that you can really improve your metabolic health and health in general to manage stress. Great ways to do that. Meditation, yoga. Yoga, tai chi, qigong. They're so powerful because they're combining movement with stillness of mind, with breath work. So they're wonderful tools that you can incorporate to improve your metabolic health going forward. So metabolic health is something that's completely within your grasp. It's completely obtainable through lifestyle change, and it could be the one thing that you take control of that really does influence your health for the rest of your life. Have a great day.